Hey guys, this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches. I really want to thank you for joining me today. I think we have quite an exciting episode. I've got news. I've got news of a 7-year plan that Rolex has, well, not introduced, but is in fact apparently carrying out. How do I know this stuff? I have a mole planted deep within the bowels of Rolex. That's right, Moneypenny is back. Now before we move on, let's get the quick fist watch check out of the way, and here it is. Today I am wearing a gold Submariner, which has no anti-reflective coating on the crystal, as you can so eminently see. It's beautiful. It's 18 karat yellow gold with a blue dial and a blue Cerachrome bezel. And I'll tell you what, here's the thing. My friend Blue Drew says that he's enjoying my videos, but he says there's not quite enough watch candy. In these videos, there's a lot of blab, but there's not a whole lot of watches. So what I'm going to do is, at the very end of this video, we're going to take this watch and the camera, we're going to go outside and we're going to look at it more thoroughly in brilliant sunlight. I'll give you a tiny little mini review. So stay tuned to the end of this video to get a real thorough look at this beautiful blue and gold Rolex Submariner. Stay tuned. Also, before we go any further, it's going to be a crazy year 2021. I have so much information for you. Subscribe. Do it now. Today only. It's free. Also, throw a like on this video. Guys, I have a letter. And of course, this one is from Moneypenny. And you have to realize having a source within Rolex is really quite something. Rolex is extremely secretive. As you know, they are owned by a charitable trust set up by their founder, Hans Wilsdorf. So there's a great deal of secrecy as relates to Rolex. They don't announce anything ahead of time. Even their own authorized dealers only find things out virtually last minute from their authorized dealer representatives. So you have to take this information with a grain of salt. I have a couple or a few different moles in various parts of the world that have some connection to Rolex, but Moneypenny has proven to be incredibly reliable, perspicacious. We salute you, sir or madam, for your service. We will protect your identity. So let's read the letter. Hi, Mark. Be aware that Rolex has a 7-year plan to upgrade all their watches to a 70-hour power reserve. So, as we know, new movements have been overtaking the old movements. Some of their watches had the 3135 movement. A lot of them have been upgraded to the 3235, now with the 70-hour power reserve. It has a much more energy efficient escapement. So with a single barrel, they're able to deliver a whole lot more time on the power reserve. So I don't think it's revolutionary that Rolex is upgrading to the 70-hour power reserve, but we now know they're rolling it out over a period of 7 years. That's actually a little longer than I would have thought, but wait, there's more. And part of their 7-year plan is to upgrade all the watches so they have the crown at 6 o'clock. Now, yeah, you're not really going to be able to tell with the way the camera is oriented and everything, but here's 12 o'clock on this watch, and there's a little coronet up there. I'll tell you what, why don't I drop a photo in right here so you can see what I'm talking about. Here you're having a look at the discontinued Hulk, and right under the 12 o'clock hour marker, you will see that coronet and the word Rolex. Apparently the coronet is going to move down to the 6 o'clock position. Not sure about the word Rolex. I'm guessing that's going to stay where it is. So apparently the plan is to move that coronet from the top to the bottom. Now we know that when Rolex does things like add a new movement or make a change to the watch, they often add the coronet between Swiss and made, which is the way that you can tell whether you're dealing with the so-called Mark I dial of certain watches, such as the Sea Dweller 43mm or the Mark II dial. But apparently that crown is moving from the top to the bottom, according to Moneypenny. Frankly, I think that's very interesting, but I kind of like the crown at the top. I guess I'll have to see it at the bottom. Rolex doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, so I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that until I actually see it. I can tell you something that I think will affect a whole lot more Rolex owners, and that would be if they could ensure that the coronet on the crown here would always line up. This one does not, but it does line up on my Hulk. So, that's kind of like the luck of the draw, whether the coronet lines up. I'll show you what I'm talking about with a drop-in right here. Here's the crown screwed all the way in, and you can see that coronet does not align. But if I back it out a little bit and leave it just a littlest bit loose, I can get it all lined up, which is what we really prefer. But you got to have your crown closed, guys. Moneypenny goes on to say, during this 7-year plan, certain watches will be discontinued. Well, The fact that Rolex, in a given you 7-year period, may discontinue a watch is not revolutionary, but what this tells us is they are thinking way ahead. What will be discontinued? What do you own right now that you're getting tired of, that you're thinking of flipping, because you could always get another one that's going to be discontinued somewhere within the next 7 years, which means its price is likely to skyrocket and you're going to be hard pressed to ever get another one. I'll tell you what this means to me, by the way, guys, is I'm holding on to 2 watches that I don't wear like a lot, but one of them is the 43mm Sea Dweller, and the other is the James Cameron, the Mark I, the very first one, the one with the too narrow band, the man that the strap, the bracelet is the word I'm looking for, the bracelet that's a little too narrow, so the watch is slightly top heavy. It's very, very thick, so it turns out that it's wearing like a hockey puck on your wrist, as opposed to this, which just sits beautifully, but the hockey puck of the James Cameron does not sit beautifully. Now I'm afraid to sell it, because Moneypenny tells us that watches are going to be discontinued over the next 7 years. And guys, you know what happens when Rolex discontinues a watch? The prices go stupid. Moneypenny goes on to say, 2022 and forward, Rolex are moving towards supplying more full gold and bimetal watches, which is the two-tone, to the authorized dealers with a decrease in steel watches. I think this is very, very important news, so I'm going to repeat it. Moneypenny says, 2022 moving forward, Rolex are moving towards supplying more full gold and more two-tone watches to the authorized dealer with a decrease in steel watches. That means, as difficult as it has been to get steel sports Rolex, it's going to get nothing but worse. So, boy, what does that mean? It means your chances of getting it out of the authorized dealer, unless you are like a constant, stupendous customer of your authorized dealer, or unless you're like your brother-in-law owns a jewelry store and happens to be an AD, your chances of getting steel sports Rolex are going now from this to this. It's going to get even harder. So if Moneypenny is right, as Moneypenny has so often been before, what this actually means is the gray market is about to get a whole lot more expensive over the next 2 years. So guys, as much as you might object to paying some of the premiums out there for steel sports watches on the gray market, you might think twice. They might be about to double their margins because supply is about to be cut even further. And I know that Rolex makes a gorgeous full gold watch. I'm wearing one of them right now. Even these are not all that easy to get, and they certainly are pricey. Gone are the days when you could walk into an authorized dealer and expect a 10 to 15% discount on full gold. Most authorized dealers are not having to discount gold watches right now because they're selling like crazy, which is really odd. You would think that steel would be much better for Rolex, but the reality is that when times are uncertain, people sort of want to hedge their bets, and they can get a Rolex and they can get precious metal all in one watch. So it's hard to wear this, when you're working out and stuff like that. You got to be obviously much more careful with a gold watch, but Rolex is going hot and heavy into gold, reducing steel. We'll talk about why I think that's happening in just one more moment. Moneypenny finalizes the letter by saying, this decrease in steel watches is a marketing strategy that has been agreed within Rolex. So it is, this is going to happen, guys. Now, we have kind of seen it coming, haven't we? This doesn't sound like something where you're going to go, oh my God, no, I can't believe it. It sounds impossible. Because steel sports has been getting nothing but harder to get. So why are they going to be pushing more bimetal, meaning two-tone, and then why are they going to be cranking out more gold and ever less steel? Why is steel almost going away? Well, I think the answer to that goes back to something that I've been saying now for about the past 4 years. Rolex has their sights set on Patek. I believe that Rolex wants to supplant Patek Philippe. Rolex would like to become just as exclusive or more exclusive as Patek Philippe, but with half the horology. Twice the price, half the horology. I mean, Patek Philippe are assembled by hand. Guys, what do they make? $50, $60, $80,000 or 80,000 watches per year, whereas Rolex is reputed to be making maybe 800,000 or so watches per year. So in theory, with the Geneva seal or the Patek seal, the Patek Philippe should be a whole lot more exclusive than Rolex. But Rolex has this giant marketing machine. They have this brand name that everybody wants. And by toning down the quantity of steel sports that they manufacture, by ramping up what they're doing in gold, what this means is between supply, demand, and precious metals, prices are going to do what, guys? They're going to skyrocket. So before long, it's going to be just as difficult to buy a Rolex as it has been up until now to buy a Patek Philippe. That's crazy, but that's what's happening to Rolex. Guys, before we peace out, let's turn this camera around and take a thorough look at the gold Rolex, and then I'll join you again for a quick goodbye. Unfortunately, when I got outside, it was anything from brilliant sunshine. It's a little bit cloudy and overcast out. So I will be showing this watch. Let's take a look around. But right after this little bit of video, I'm definitely going to show you a full sunshine picture. So full gold all the way around. Unlike the steel version, the center of the clasp and the center links are polished. It's a very heavy watch. It's, I don't know, something like 211 grams. The dial is spectacular. You got to be careful with this, guys, though. You don't want to be banging it into door jams. It's a little tender. But when you hit light, this dial just explodes. It's incredibly gorgeous. Okay, guys, well, thank you so much for having joined me. This is crazy stuff. Yes, the gold Rolex is beautiful, but the steel is so much more wearable, and it's like a third of the price. So if it becomes completely and utterly impossible to get steel Submariners, that's going to be a shame. Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger, and thank you so much, Moneypenny, for sharing information from deep within Rolex. Guys, throw a like on this video. You won't be sorry, and subscribe. I've got more coming up soon.
Paint the sky.